So hello everyone, welcome to our video. So today in this video we are going to talk about what is skeletal system. When we talk about skeletal system, so the skeletal system is majorly made up of bones and few cartilages. So what are bones, what are cartilages? We have talked about all of these in the chapter structural organization in animals, but I'm going to give you just a gist of that. So when we talk about bones, bones are hard, non-pliable, and the main calcium salt is present in them. Whereas when we talk about cartilages, so cartilage matrix is soft and pliable, and here chondroitin salts are present. Okay, so the next topic we talk about is now how many bones are present in human body. Everyone knows that there are 206 bones present in the adult human body, whereas we are not talking about the young ones or those embryo. We are not talking about that, we are talking about the adults. So there are 206 bones in an adult human. When we talk about now the skeletal system, so skeletal system is divided into two parts, the axial skeleton as well as the appendicular skeleton. When we say axial skeleton, it means skeleton system aligned in a line is all about axial skeleton. Now what comprises in the axial skeleton? This is our cranium, this is our vertebral column, as well as now when we talk about appendicular system is these limbs present in appendicular system and the girdle bones in which these limbs articulate. So these is all about appendicular and skeleton system. When we talk about axial skeleton, so in axial skeleton we have 80 bones, whereas in appendicular skeleton we have 126 bones. Now axial skeleton comprises of head, ribs, vertebral column. So in head there are 29 bones, whereas ribs consist of 24 bones and a single sternum, whereas the vertebral column comprises of 26 bones in an adult. I'm saying in adult and I'll prove you. So when we talk about appendicular system, we have 6 girdle bones as well as 120 limb bones. Now when we talk about limbs, so we are collectively talking about our hands and our legs. Okay, so when we come about for now when we talk about head, so in head we have 29 bones, in which there is a presence of skull as well as those ear ossicles and one single bone, hyoid bone, which is now as per the latest NCERT not a part of skull. So hyoid is not a part of skull but still is a part of head. So head consists of 29 bones, which consist of 22 skull bones, 3 twos are 6, 3 ear ossicles in each ear, so 6 bones as well as one hyoid bone. So this is all about the head. When we talk about head, in the skull we have 8 cranial and 14 facial bones. The bones present in our face are said to be the facial bones, and the bones forming our brain box is said to be as cranium bones. So there are 8 cranium bones as well as 14 facial bones. Now we are going to talk about those girdle bones and limb bones. When we talk about these girdle bones, so here I have mentioned also that there are 2 types of girdles, the pectoral girdle as well as the pelvic girdle. So when we say about the pectoral girdle, so pectoral girdle has 4 bones and the pelvic girdle has 2 bones. Whereas now we are going to talk about the limb bones. When we say about for the limb bones, so there are 120 limb bones. When we say there are 120 limb bones, out of which the forelimb consists of 60 bones and the hind limb consists of 60 bones. Now the each forelimb has 30 bones and each hind limb has 13 bones. 30 bones. Okay, so let's talk about the axial skeleton. So in the axial skeleton I have explained you very well that the skeleton system present in between of the body is said to be the axial skeleton system. So when we talk about the axial skeleton system, the first part is the head. Now head consists of skull. Skull is made up of cranial and or the cranium bones as well as the facial bones. Now there are how many cranial bones? There are 8 cranial bones and there are 14 facial bones. Now, firstly, we are going to talk about the cranial bones. Now, the cranial bones fuse together to form a brain box. What is brain box? Our brain is protected in some brain box, na? Our brain is protected. So the bones which are protecting our brain is said to be the brain box. So the brain box consists of the frontal bone, the parietal bone, the temporal bone, the occipital bone, the sphenoid bone, as well as the ethmoid bone. So here I am talking about the sphenoid bone. Firstly, I am explaining each and every bone. Very less information is given in NCERT, so I am explaining strictly based on NCERT. When we talk about sphenoid bone, we have to learn about this bone in the chapter chemical coordination and integration also, where there is the presence of the pituitary gland in sella turcica. So here we have written sphenoid has a cavity called as sella turcica, which encloses the pituitary gland. This is a very important point. Sella turcica, for about this point, is also written in our chapter chemical coordination and integration. Now from this particular topic, we very usually get the questions type, which is that which of the following bones are paired and which of the following bones are not paired, are single bones. So when we say about the frontal bone, the occipital bone and the ethmoid bone, these bones are not the paired ones. Parietal, temporal are the paired bones. When we say about parietal and temporal, these bones are the paired bones. Now here I have some special concept or a little bit extra concept about the occipital bones. So here in the now everyone knows what is foramen magnum. Foramen magnum is a place present at the backside of our cranium box or the cranial bones. So from foramen magnum, what passes out? The medulla passes and connects with the spinal cord. So here there are the presence of two occipital condyles. That is why our cranium is said to be a dicondylic skull. And these occipital condyles forms joint with the first cervical vertebrae. At the base of skull, there is a large opening which is said to be as foramen magnum, and this foramen magnum, from this foramen magnum, medulla oblongata passes and connects with the spinal cord. So this was all about the occipital condyle. Now let's talk about the first part we have completed, which was about the skull. So we have talked about all those cranial bones. I'm gonna give you a little bit of gist. So here is all those cranial bones. We have the frontal bone, parietal bone, occipital bone, temporal bone and the sphenoid ethmoid bones. Whereas the parietal and temporal ones are the paired ones and the other rest all are unpaired or singular bones. So let's talk about the facial bones. When we say about for the facial bones, then you would learn it like nasal maxillae, zygomatic, lacrimal, palatine, inferior nasal condrae, mandible and vomer. Okay, so out of which only mandible and vomer are singular and else all bones are paired. So when we talk about nasal, so nasal is present at we hold our specs, the bridge of nose. Maxillae, upper jaw. Zygomatic, prominence of cheekbone. Cheekbone, people say na your cheekbone is very prominent. So we are talking about the zygomatic bone. Lacrimal, the orbit of the eye where the eye is located. When we talk about the palatine, the hard palate. Now, inferior nasal condae, so nasal chamber and nasal cavity formation. When we talk about mandible, lower jaw, exceptionally hard. Now, when we talk about vomer is a triangular bone. So, this was all about the facial bones. Now, let's talk about ear ossicles. Earlier, we used to have the complete topic ear, but now NCERT has reduced all that. So, we are only going to talk about the ear ossicles. What are ear ossicles? Each ear has three bones. Now ear has its part, the outer ear, the middle ear and the inner ear. So in middle ear we have three bones, the malleus, the incus and the stapes. When we talk about the malleus, so malleus is the hammer shaped bone, incus is the anvil shaped bone and stapes is the stirrup shaped bone, and the smallest bone in our skeleton system is the stapes. So now what is the work? What is the function of these ear ossicles? So the very main function and the only function of our ear ossicles is to 10 times amplify the sound vibrations which are coming. So it consists of the 10 times amplification of sound vibration. And now we are almost completed our topic about the cranium or the skull. We are going to complete our skull. Yes, in the axial skeleton, we are going to complete our head. Now the last topic we have is the hyoid bone. What is hyoid bone? Hyoid bone is singular bone, is a single U-shaped bone present at the base of buccal cavity, and it does not articulate with any other bone. That is why we say that it is a singular and does not articulate with any other bones. Okay, so now let's talk to the second part, which are ribs and sternum. What is the ribs? What are the ribs and what are the sternum? Everyone knows what are ribs and what are sternums. So let's talk about the sternum. So sternum is a single bone mid-ventral of thorax. When we say ventral, we are talking about the frontal parts of our body, and when we say dorsal, we are talking about the back parts of our body. So it is mid-ventral, means in the ventral position, it is present in the between of thorax. Okay, now it is also said to be as the breastbone, and in these sternum, not only ribs get attached but also the clavicles attached. Clavicle is the collarbone we are talking about. Now ribs, there are 12 pairs of rib, which means there are 24 ribs. Now ribs are said to be bicephalic, matlab ki two heads are present. Okay, now ribs are flat, or this is all what we have talked about the head thorax vertebrae at 2 points and attraction. That is why they are said to be bicephalic. और उसके बाद we have the costal cartilage attached with the sternum. Now let's talk about types of ribs. There are 3 types of ribs. Basically the true ribs, false ribs and the floating ribs. When we talk about true ribs, these are the first to the 7th pair of ribs present in our body. Now attachment, they are dorsally attached to the vertebral column, or dorsally attached to the vertebral column and ventrally attached to the sternum. Also known as vertebro-sternal ribs. Why do we say vertebro? Vertebro because they are dorsally attached to the vertebral column. Sternal, ventrally attached to the sternum. That is why they are said to be vertebro-sternal ribs. When we talk about false ribs, they are the 8th, 9th and 10th pair of ribs present in our body. Now the attachment, when we talk about dorsally, so they are dorsally not attached, but they are ventrally attached. They are attached to the cartilage of 7th rib. That is why indirectly attached with the sternum, and they are also known as vertebro-chondral ribs. Vertebro, they are attached to the vertebral column. Chondral, what is the meaning of the word chondral? Chondral is a word which is related to cartilages. So when we say about vertebro-chondral ribs, so they are dorsally attached to the vertebral column and ventrally attached to the ventrally attached to the cartilage of 7th rib. Now when we talk about our floating ribs, these are the 11th and 12th pair of ribs which have the attachment only dorsally. They are attached to the vertebral column and they are ventrally not attached with any other, and the main function of them is to protect kidney and our spleen organ. Spleen we talk about in the topic body fluids and circulation. Spleen is said to be the graveyard of RBCs, and that is why they are also known as vertebral ribs. Now here in the name it is only vertebral ribs because they are not attached to any other thing in the ventral side. Okay, so when we talk about vertebral column, so vertebral column is made up of serially arranged bones called as vertebral. Now they are dorsally placed, as we are mammals, and we know about that when we talk about mammals, so the vertebral column is present dorsally. Now name, location, embryonic and adults. This is a very important chart. I am going to show you all that these are the types of bones and the location and the location of the bones, and in the embryonic, their number in embryonic stage as well as their number in adult stage. This is very important and it always comes every year in Neet. So when we talk about these bones, so the very first name is the cervical. Cervical, we talk about neck. Now we say that cervical pain. So its location is on neck. Now embryonic stage, they are present, their number is 7. When we talk about the adult stage, their number is 7. When we talk about thoracic, so location is chest. In the chest area, thoracic means, that is why we say na thorax region. So it is in location is in chest area. Now in embryonic stage their number is 12, and in adult stage their number is 12. When we talk about lumbar, it is present in the abdominal area. Their number in embryonic stage is 5, and adults it comes to be 5. But when we talk about sacral and coccygeal tailbone, so their location is on pelvic area. And in embryonic stage, sacral bones are 5, whereas coccygeal bones are 4, and they fuse to form a single bone in adults. And the rest ones becomes the cartilage as they fuse to form, and they fuse and form a single bone in adults. Now, this is a diagram which shows those cervical curve, the thoracic curve, that lumbar curve, the sacral curve, and the coccygeal curve. Cervical curve and lumbar curve develop slowly after birth, that as they fuse to form those 5 and 6 bones, those 5 and 4 bones fuse to form a single one. That's why the cervical curve and lumbar curve develop slowly after birth. That is why we used to say that when you are holding a baby, you should hold it carefully, its head, because of the presence, because there is a developing cervical curve and lumbar curve. Okay, so the most of the mammals have 7 cervical vertebrae. Now here I have written the vertebral column formula, which is C7 means cervical 7, T12 means thoracic 12, L5 means lumbar 5, S ब्रैकेट में 5 लिखा है मैंने क्यों? ब्रैकेट मीन्स they are going to fuse. So CS5 sacral 5 and C4 in bracket 4, because they are going to fuse and form a single bone. So C is the coccygeal one. Now in the cervical vertebrae there is the first attalus and second axis. Now the rest part I am going to discuss in the next video. So its next part will be coming soon. Thank you for cooperating and seeing the video till the end. And I am going to provide the new video on this topic very soon. Thank you so much.